want to hear some of that techno music?
You're listening to CreepGeeks Podcast. So it begins again. Welcome back to CreepGeeks Podcast. This is episode 313, Season 8, The Ocho.
Thunderbird caught, Roswell crash metal, UFO archive finds new home, hunting Bigfoot, and prove flat Earth win cash.
That's right. All right, so anyway, welcome back to the podcast. If this is your very first time listening to the podcast, we're glad you're here. And if you're a repeat listener, you know we love you.
Yeah.
That's right. Love you little, love you big, love you like a little pig. So, my mom used to say that to me. I thought it was nice.
Okay.
Until I got older. Then I got like, wait a minute. How dare ye? You know what I mean? So anyway, we do have a lot of things we'd like to talk about with the podcast. Just in case this is your very first time tuning into the podcast, we broadcast paranormal news and share our experiences from our underground bunker hidden in the mountains of western North Carolina.
Yeah.
That's right. We do have a tendency to share our experiences when we have them, and we also, I also share opinions that are usually not thought out. Just kind of off the hip, but there's always good intentions behind them. Mm. Yeah. Well, sometimes it depends, right? You know, when you haven't had dinner or you're a little hungry and you're like, let me tell you about, here we go.
No.
And then about halfway through, it doesn't make any sense anymore. You forget what you're arguing about. So,
okay.
Yeah, I've started chewing some delicious gum.
Oh, fantastic.
It's called Pure.
Yeah.
This is not an advertisement. This is good. It's gluten-free, vegan-free. It's all the free stuff, right? It doesn't have any of the weird sugary stuff that gives me a headache.
Yeah.
You know, because a lot of fake sugar stuff will actually spike your blood sugar, and it doesn't lose its flavor after 3 minutes, more like 7 minutes, but as xylitol.
You know,
it's good for your mouth.
Yeah.
And it'll probably kill your pets, but it tastes amazing.
Oh gosh.
So you can't, if just as a public service announcement, if you decide to do the Pure gum thing, don't let your dog chew it.
Yes.
Because it may not be good for them.
Okay.
So, because I was going to put a bunch of recalls in there, because there's like a ton of soda recalls and coffee recalls, and I don't know if I want to do that because it seems like everything is being recalled. Some of it's pretty severe.
Oh, I noticed.
It's like, it's that time of year. It's salmonella time.
Well, that and a whole bunch of dog foods recently got recalled because of metal parts. I'm like, fantastic.
Nice. Give you a little iron.
Yeah.
And stainless steel slivers.
Yeah.
So, yeah. All right. So, everything we talk about in this podcast is available on our website. If you go to creepgeeks.com, you'll have the little thing that we use to keep on track, and it's got all the links of everything we talk about. So
show notes.
Yeah, show notes just seems like it's more grandiose than it really is. It's just something that we know what to talk about.
Okay.
And we cultivate these amazing things as we see them. So sometimes they're like, "What? How dare ye?" And you throw it in there, right, with all indignant rage, and then later on, it's just like, okay. So I do have to give you a warning. This podcast may contain bioengineered and cell-cultivated food products.
What?
So anyway, I'm Greg.
I'm Omi.
And let's get into it.
Okay, then.
All right, we love our patrons, just like to say that. And we do have a couple different ways for you to get a hold of us if you'd like to interact with the podcast. We have a toll-free number provided absolutely free of charge by Google that if we don't use, every so often they'll threaten me to take it away. It has a Roswell area code.
That phone number, it's going to be 575-208-4025.
That's right. And in our show notes, we have links to stuff, too. We have an Amazon merch store, I think, or you can buy a T-shirt or something. I don't know what's on it because it's been so long. And we also have links if you buy something off Amazon, it's an affiliate link, and it gives a little kickback.
Oh, yeah.
It doesn't cost anything at all. So it's kind of one of those things where I feel like we should say it. Because when I used to say it every time, people bought stuff. And then shockingly, when I didn't mention it, people stopped buying stuff.
Oh, we do have our Bigfoot shirt on there. That's cool.
Nice.
Yeah.
Do we have Paranormal Investigator shirt on there?
No.
We need to add our Paranormal Investigator shirt. It seems like when we do events and we go around and do different things, we bring stickers and stuff like that, swag, things to augment the cost of food and gas and travel experience. I was going to say experiences, travel expenses and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And we seemed like the paranormal investigator stickers, which is a really cool sticker. Is always a hit.
Yeah.
So I like it. I put it on everything.
Oh, and we have our big old lightning bugs shirt on there.
Mountain lightning bugs.
Yeah. I want to continue that. I think I should probably do one for each of the ghost lights that everybody knows about.
Yeah, you should.
Yeah.
And be like, hey, check this out.
Yeah.
In our last podcast episode, and we've done about 300 of these. Oh, I do have to make a public service announcement. This is podcast episode 313.
Mm-hmm.
Last episode was 312.
Yes.
Totally skipped 311. No idea where it went.
Are you sure?
Yep.
We had it open. Huh.
Well, it's gone.
Okay.
So now I'm like, well, we should make this one 311. But what happens in the grand scheme of things with the RSS feed, which is really simple syndication feed, it'll just show up out of complete order.
Oh.
So if you've got, the idea that you want to listen to this podcast, which is available anywhere you can hear a podcast, and you want to sort by order, it won't actually put it in the correct order. It does it by when it was sent to the RSS feed. So you'll just have 311 out of nowhere. So I did not do that. I apologize. I got a little ahead of myself because sometimes I write multiple podcast episodes. And I try to use the same template because it makes it more uniform. But whatever. So it happened. So I apologize for that. But our last podcast episode, we made mention of the monoliths.
Yeah.
Now, we also made mention of the monoliths back in 2020 when they first started showing up.
So,
Like Romania was the place I was trying to remember that I couldn't remember.
Well,
from the first places
the big
that showed
one,
up.
technically, because I went to the Wikipedia, the Utah one was allegedly one of the first known ones. Right. And it turned out that some Redditor and deep diver found that the Utah one had actually been in place since 2016-ish. Really? So, yeah. So it was in 2020 when people were stuck at home and very bored that the craze happened because people were finding it. And because they wanted to make sure it wasn't a hoax, Reddit, Google Earth, all this stuff happened. And that drove people to messing up the Utah one.
Speaking of driving people, we've posted a couple of videos on our YouTube channel about going to see the Georgia Guidestones, which are no longer in existence. Mm-hmm. For some reason, that got an uptick, and also on our TikTok channel, that also got an uptick of people going to see the Georgia Guidestones. So somebody, obviously more popular than we are, talked about it somewhere. It made reference. Kind of weird. All right, so the monoliths, a new one's back, or a new one that shortly sort of appeared right after the one in Vegas got taken down. This time it's in Colorado.
Yeah. In the community of Bellevue,
Colorado.
Yeah. Now, this past weekend, it appeared atop a hill on the property of the Howling Cow Cafe. Manager Brooke Williams said that she first became aware of the mysterious monolith when some customers entered the restaurant on Sunday asking, "Where is the alien structure?" So the cafe manager subsequently learned that photos of the peculiar piece, which can be seen from a nearby highway, had been spreading like wildfire on local social media, which led to swarms of people visiting the cafe in hopes of catching a glimpse of the mysterious monolith, which stands 8 feet tall and measures 4 feet wide. It definitely added more foot traffic, the manager observed. People from farther away than we normally get coming out here were asking questions, and there were lines along the road to look at it.
I think we should get an old stainless steel refrigerator door and make our own monolith.
Okay. I've kind of been searching on Etsy and some other sites for somebody who can 3D print one. So.
Well, you'd probably be just better off just buying, I don't know.
Me and mirrors? No, absolutely not.
No, I wouldn't even say that.
I'm not going to try to.
You have birds or something flying into it, then you'd feel, bad about it. Like we had a turtle laying eggs in the yard, so it's kind of a strange thing. So speaking of strange thing, we talked a couple different times throughout the years about fortune teller laws and some instances that occurred. And here recently, in where we used to live in Virginia, they overturned the fortune teller law, so people could go and they could spend their money and have their fortunes told. Yeah. Legally. They would get around it before with or the fortune tellers would get around it before by saying it's a donation sort of thing. Same thing is happening in some places in North Carolina. Well, One of the reasons why they had fortune teller laws is to keep people from being taken advantage of, and evidently this Canadian woman has paid a psychic $46,000 to fend off evil spirits.
But, okay.
Yeah. It just, and
I didn't realize that was like the services offered by a psychic, so
well, why not? A psychic can, what are they? They're psychic mediums.
Okay.
They can talk to the dead. It's a form of necromancy, like we talked about before.
I know, but when you
and
just
so
hear
you
psychic,
would think that
you think
part of that
somebody
be
who
like,
tells-
hey, since you have somebody who can actually see and speak to the dead and all that stuff, they probably know how to fend off.
Okay.
Right? Wouldn't they have more experience, you'd think?
No, because that would be a medium. I'm thinking psychic, like just using only the words in the title. I'm thinking somebody who tells the future.
Well, you got to be a little bit more gray than that.
Okay.
Most places are not just psychics. They'll put psychic medium. That way they can charge you more for different services. Come on. That's like when you go to a place, they don't just change oils. It's always tire lube and stuff like that. They have to add a couple
The
different
plus.
things on there. Yeah, or plus.
Yeah.
Which just means that they can pull out a dirty air filter from a trash can and go, your air filter is looking pretty bad. And then all you have to say is, you need to stop taking apart my car. I didn't pay for that.
Yeah.
Knowing that it takes 18 bolts and removing a bunch of stuff to get that pesky air filter out, especially in the van. It's not an easy thing.
Yeah.
And it looks like a garbage can. It's pretty big. They pull it out of there. They tried that before, and I said, throw that in the trash, man. And gave him a look like, I'm only here, sir, because I'm lazy. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? I can do it myself.
So $46,000.
$46,000, yeah. And this is on Coast to Coast, and they have a video that you can watch, Coast to Coast AM. And, yeah.
So
It's, slightly sad,
the
I guess.
unfortunate case reportedly began back in October when the alleged victim, identified as Marie Jean, turned to a Toronto soothsayer after she had been forced to sell her home and subsequently fell into a deep depression. Wow.
Yeah, it's exactly the reason why,
Yeah.
And the only reason why I put this in here, aside from the fact that we've talked about it, is because we've recently started watching Shoresy,
Yeah.
which is a Canadian hockey type sitcom show, which is hilarious. Yeah. And so I read this in a Canadian accent before I put it in here.
Wow.
Yeah. So after this psychic demanded an additional $20,000,
Yeah.
Marie Jean basically came to the realization that she's being scammed. I feel used, embarrassed. I should have known smarter. Or should have been smarter, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, this sadly typical tale of psychic grift wound up having an unusual happy ending as a media outlet investigated the case. Contacted Mahadev, which is the psychic person,
Yeah.
and said, hey, what's going on, right? It's kind of like one of those news channel things like, we're on your side. They show
Yeah.
up and go, hey, how come you're charging this much for bald tires?
Channel 13 investigates. Yeah.
Did they really change your oil? Let's see. We spray painted all the bolts underneath the car, paint. And look, the paint hasn't been disturbed. Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah.
Yeah, we dated the oil filter, and it still has the date on it. You didn't change our oil? That kind of thing, right? Yeah, so although he insisted he had no idea what they were talking about, Mary Jean said that he had reached out to her the following day and shockingly returned all of her money, presumably to avoid being swept up by long arm of the law.
See, now
She got a refund.
Yeah, I'm glad this had a refund and happy ending because there's other cases out there where it's like, woman calls psychic hotlines
Well,
like 5,000 times.
If this had been like, let's say 25 years ago,
Yeah.
where you could rent office space for a nickel for
Yeah.
a month just to see if you like it or not, 20 grand, you just pack up and move.
Yeah.
If you're the psychic grifter, you just basically pack your van up and just drive away. Yeah, especially when they're like, what's your name? And it's like Reverend, Sister, Father, whatever. You know what I mean? So, yeah. Yep, kind of crazy.
Yeah.
So there you go. That's why they have those laws, is to protect. So if you ever decide you're going to go to a psychic or whatever, be fully skeptical. Just saying.
Yeah.
Pay them your little money, get your palm read or whatever, and move on. If they're like, hey, for an upsell charge of $13, I can let you speak to your deceased parent or whatever, then you probably should move on.
Yeah.
Now, I get that people have to make a living and they charge for services and stuff like that, but I mean, come on. If you feel like you're being taken advantage of or it seems even slightly sketchy, leave.
I mean, this is one thing. Okay, like a $40 tarot card reading is one thing. A dude claiming he needs 40 grand to fend off evil spirits is something else.
Well, this is not uncommon. I mean, look at the third world where they do like psychic surgeries and stuff, where they pull little bits of bloody plastic and a chicken embryo out of your gut without leaving a mark and all that stuff. You know, it's like, yeah, come on. Some of that stuff is super sketchy. Grain of salt kind of thing. So there you go. There's a little public service announcement. So that's sort of a recap of what we talked about in our past podcast episode. But I put this in here to get attention to you, right? This is it's titled Thunderbird Caught.
Uh-huh.
And what do you think? I actually didn't include my own link, so I don't know what I'm looking at. So what the deal is that on this website, and this is a prestigious website, right? Since I've been watching a lot of
I just opened this and I'm like,
I've been watching a lot of Peter Kane dog training videos where he's like, myself and some prestigious colleagues, we've been researching this Thunderbird. That's a Thunderbird, all right. You know, you can tell because it has huge wings. He does this and he trolls people. A lot of people get really angry. But petloverclub.com.
So legitimate.
Yeah, it has a link, and you click on it, but it goes to the website, and so far no pop-ups, which is great. And the title of the article says, researchers have just caught a strange giant bird with huge wings.
Okay.
Now, that's not unusual, but if you look at the shape of the Thunderbird, and then you compare it to the shape of this big bird,
yeah,
they look very similar. If I seen this bird flying in the sky, I would probably go, because you can't readily identify it as being a common bird that you would see. You know what I mean? You're like, holy crap, that looks like that could be a Thunderbird.
Well, okay.
And so it's not actually a Thunderbird per se, but it's a Cinereus vulture,
which, believe it or not, I mean, it's on the threatened list. It's not quite endangered. It's threatened. So it's an unusual bird to see anyways.
And it has an imposing size and impressive wingspan. And it's also known as the Eurasian black vulture.
Yeah. 10-foot wingspan.
That's pretty big.
Yeah. At least 10-foot wingspan.
That's like a bird the size of your Trailblazer flying at you. That's a big bird.
Yeah. And a maximum weight of 31 pounds. So, I mean, we have vultures here, and I got really nervous when our neighbor dogs chased after them, because I'm like, you get 3 of those guys gang up on you, you're not going to have a good time.
Yeah, but compared to this Eurasian vulture, that's nothing.
They're nothing.
It's like a guinea pig trying to attack a...
Yeah. This thing is
really
huge.
Have anything to compare a guinea pig to.
I have a problem with the very first image, because, of course, the very first image is sus. So, because it just looks like...
Well, if you don't explain it, nobody knows why it's sus. You have to...
It really does look like this gigantic, like, ostrich-sized bird with even larger wings is standing in front of... What does that one do? Like 7 people or something.
Yeah, but it's a 10-foot wingspan. And it's also, those people are obviously not up close. They're in the background.
Yeah, so it's definitely like a perspective shot.
Yeah.
So where the item in the foreground is of such a larger size that everything else in the background looks smaller.
So the people in the background are probably about 10 to 20 feet away. So the person that's taking the picture is probably about 8 feet from the back of the vulture. And the
Which
vulture,
is pretty
it still
ballsy.
doesn't matter. It's still 10 feet tall. I'm
Yeah.
6 foot tall.
No, well,
add another 4 feet.
it's not 10 feet tall. Its wingspan is 10 feet tall.
Okay, so all right. I've said it 3 times already. The wingspan is 10 feet. That's huge.
Now
I'm 6 feet.
it has
and I definitely weigh more than 31 pounds.
it has a body length of 3 feet 11 inches. That's a tall bird.
That's like more than a meter for all of our
1.2 meters.
Yeah, that's what I said. More than a meter, right?
Yeah. But
That's
the colors in the very first picture do give me like Thunderbird vibes. So, yeah.
Yeah, they've included like 15 pictures, so if you want to check it out.
Yeah.
And then you have the one shot in the article where he's standing on a log or whatever, and he's got his wings down, and he looks like he could totally be a Thunderbird. Especially if he's really dark, because the Thunderbirds are supposed to be kind of really dark brown or even black. Its plumage is predominantly charcoal gray, and it lends an air of noble elegance. Look at that elegant bird. Yeah, that kind of thing. But I mean, if that thing would definitely carry off your dog if it wanted to.
Oh, yeah.
For sure. I mean, you have a Chihuahua. I mean, it would carry your baby off like a, gray eagle or brown eagle or whatever it was, swoop down.
Yeah.
Grab that toddler by the leg. It may or may not be fake. But
so the first photo.
Western Europe to Africa to the Middle East to Central Asia is where you can see this bird.
So the first photo, which is a perspective photo, makes it seem very, very large. But then towards the end of the article, there is an additional photo of a smaller Cineros vulture being held by two individuals, I guess two aviary biologists or whatever.
Two bird nerds.
Yeah, and it's still pretty big,
So, it's big.
Yeah.
But I mean, think about if you've seen one of these out of place, right? So it's all over the place, except for North America doesn't seem to be an area where this thing hangs out. If you just see one out of the blue, like maybe it got hung up on some winds or something got carried this way or escaped and you've seen it in the sky, you wouldn't be able to really identify it. Because you would tell people, because it doesn't look like a typical, bald head, skinny looking vulture.
Yeah.
It looks like a big Thunderbird, like a hawk or something. And when we talk about Thunderbird, we're not talking about like the rock, which is like the lizard looking, pterodactyl Thunderbird. We're talking about the actual Thunderbird, like native lore Thunderbird. The one that looks more like a bird.
Yeah.
Which I think would be a pretty credible cryptid to actually find, because what is it at the end of the day? It's a big-ass bird.
Yeah.
We have big birds already, so it wouldn't be unusual to see a big-ass bird. That's why I think like the woolly mammoth would be a reasonable cryptid to see, because what is it? It's a hairy elephant. And I know somebody's like, it's way more than that. It's like, relax, man. It's at the end of the day, you'd be able to identify it as being a hairy elephant and a big bird, right? That would be more likely than maybe some of the other stuff out there, but
Yeah.
so there you go. Thunderbird found.
Pretty cool.
And imagine if you found one that was just this big old crusty one that's maybe got a wingspan of 15 feet because he just ate a lot, was lucky because they have a keen sense of smell, being vultures and all. Yeah, I mean, if you've seen that, nobody would believe you.
Yeah.
Man, that thing had a wingspan of 15 feet. You'd be like, yeah, sure. Did you hold your hand up to see, how did it, yeah. Perspective, you seen it in the sky, you got nothing to reference into. Did you zoom in? Right?
Yeah.
So let's talk about some Roswell crash metal.
Okay.
So if you're unfamiliar with Roswell, I don't know what to tell you other than, in New Mexico, it's pretty famous sort of UFO type situation, right? Allegedly crashed and some alien bodies were recovered and all this good stuff. Some of the wreckage that was left behind was some mysterious metal, right?
Yes.
And allegedly pieces of that metal have been found. Linda Moulton Howe was gifted some of that metal.
Oh, wow.
For research purposes and things like that. And she wouldn't say exactly where she got it from because she got that metal from multiple sources. Not that we know Linda Moulton Howe, but she used to, I'm not sure if she's still in New Mexico or not, but she follows us on LinkedIn, which is kind of cool. So what they're saying is that this is from the Discovery Channel. Discovery Channel has UFO tested, right? So Discovery Channel UFO tests reveal 100% pure aluminum at the Roswell site that they picked up where they found the metal, hinting at alien origins.
Okay.
Yeah. So the metal was found and I can't say it, submitted by the Discovery Channel. And geologist Frank Kimbler is among some of the numerous experts who've disputed the military's official account of what happened at that crash on the outskirts of this New Mexico town. And since 2010, he's been meticulously searching the alleged UFO crash site with a metal detector.
Okay.
Because the way this thing crashed, it spread a lot of debris, spread bodies, that kind of thing. So allegedly spread alien bodies. So this guy has actually found 20 or so peculiar, I can't even, what can I speak today?
I don't know.
Peculiar?
Now it's like
pieces of metallic material, most no larger than a fingernail. He submitted one particularly strange piece of metal for testing to Discovery Channel's new series, which is basically Alien Encounters, Fact or Fiction.
I didn't know that was new.
What?
I thought that show has been ongoing.
Well, they've been redoing a bunch of shows. It
So
seems
they've
like
been
be
rehashing
rehashed
them?
or
Yeah.
reimagined or whatever. But And the test revealed that the metal was 100% pure aluminum, which experts have described as compelling evidence that could substantiate claims of an alien crash in the area decades ago. Like in the 40s is when this occurred, 44, 45. Yeah. And so Chrissy Newton is the co-host of this new series, and she told the Daily Mail, which is where this article, anyway, she added that she was not afraid to debunk some well-known UFO cases if that's where the facts led. I want to prove that it's identifiable, and not everyone's going to like this. However, Newton found the test on a pure aluminum fragment that they found, right?
Yeah.
As intriguing, partly because a former Pentagon UFO investigator told her that pure aluminum has been connected to other, like multiple UFO crash sites.
Okay.
So, she didn't really reveal the name of the source. She said the source is, formerly from AATIP or ATIP, which is the Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification Program. Right.
Yeah.
Now the thing is that Kimber is an earth sciences and geology teacher at the New Mexico Military Institute, which is actually in Roswell, New Mexico.
And he studied in at a certain university out in southern New Mexico that's like a really well-known geology and mineral university.
Yeah, so he's got a little pedigree to him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's got some New Mexico pedigree to him because the geologist pointed out that testing anthills for metals gathered by ants is a common strategy used by gold prospectors, mining geologists, and metal detector enthusiasts alike.
Yeah, because ants will take that stuff back to their,
Yeah.
I watched an ant fight with a piece of glass,
So
trying to carry it back to his.
And he got this specific metal fragment about a 1/4 inch long from an anthill within that debris field. And I remember learning back in the day you could find gold, rubies, garnets, and even turquoise from anthills in New Mexico. So, yeah.
So in 2018, with the Bureau of Land Management, right,
Yeah.
they kind of got wind of his hobby out there prospecting, looking for pieces and stuff like that. And so eventually he was contacted by Discovery Channel and sent some sample, of the metal to be chemically tested using the mass spectrometry. And so I'm trying to read and get to the point where it explains in better detail of why the aluminum metal fragment was unusual for its purity, but also how it was different from the typical industrial grade aluminum that was used and that's used in most manufacturing, right?
Yeah.
Because most metals that is used in manufacturing is like anodized. So when you anodize metal like this or aluminum like this, it's an electrochemical process, and it basically takes the metal surface and basically adds like a decorative, durable, sort of corrosion-resistant finish. And that's it's a type of oxide, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, it protects the metal underneath to keep it from corroding.
Okay.
Because aluminum will corrode.
Yeah.
And so in those reactions, you'll have oxygen molecules that are present. And what this guy said, Dr. Hussein, he basically done the test because he's Dr. Tim Hussein at Cerium Labs. He says, this is not an alloy, because aluminum is typically an alloy, right? This is not an alloy. This is pure aluminum.
Yeah.
That makes it unusual. Like, just find that, right? So Kimber's discovery adds to the growing body of eyewitness testimony and even declassified government records about Roswell. And this seems to suggest that the Roswell crash involved some form of exotic metal materials, and more than 40 witnesses to the Roswell crash mentioned that a metal-like material from the site could remember itself when folded physically, or was physically altered. So just the fact that it's basically a pure aluminum makes it really unusual. And in the 40s, come on.
Yeah. And most
that would be tremendously expensive. That'd be
Yeah.
like finding titanium in 1800.
Because, even now, the best we can get with most commercial and even scientific aluminums is 99.9. And that's just because it just loves to connect with other molecules.
Yeah.
Bind with other molecules. So, and, God, I wish I could fact check myself right now, but I'm not having any luck. Aluminum's only found in very few places in the world anyways, just mining it.
Yeah. Oh, and if you're in Europe, we were talking about aluminium, right? But yeah, so I mean, that's kind of unusual. I mean, when they talked about metal and stuff like that during the crash, and the witnesses and things they were saying, and people were like, "Whatever, you're crazy, right?" Oh no, that was just mylar from a balloon. But, this is different. Remember, they had these little tiny little girder pieces that looked like little I-beams that had weird UFO writing on them or whatever. They, I don't know what hieroglyphs, if you want to call them that.
Yeah.
But yeah, to find like 100% pure, or not 100% pure, but to find pure aluminum. That's something that is, again, it sort of adds to the whole Roswell thing. Roswell is an 80-plus year rabbit hole to fall in, for sure, man.
Yeah.
So I thought that was kind of neat. So, I mean, some people are like, well, there you go. It's pure aluminum. The whole thing was, not an alien crash at all. And it's like, think about it, man. We don't really have or use pure aluminum now.
Yeah.
And this is in its 40s. And it's been found at other crash sites. So unless we're crashing our own government stuff, like government crafts or whatever it is, whatever our secret government's doing, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I want to know the properties and stuff, like if you have pure aluminum, I mean, how light is it? How strong is it? That sort of thing. Maybe it ties into titanium somehow, because titanium is super strong and super light. Maybe we couldn't even make pure aluminum of the same caliber of what was found. And so we just came up with titanium. I don't know. If anybody knows, let us know.
Wow.
If you're a metallurgist.
Metallurgist.
Yes.
Yes. There aren't even
Mineralogist.
There aren't even any bauxite mines in New Mexico. It's all Arkansas, Alabama, Georgia, and Spotswood, Virginia.
Yeah.
So those are places where you'd actually be able to mine that.
And what do you need that for?
Aluminum.
Oh,
So
very nice.
yeah.
Okay. So kind of piggybacking off New Mexico, and we've actually talked about this numerous times. In Rio Rancho lives a guy who has just been accumulating UFO records, and he's created an archive, and people will send them their entire UFO collections. We've got people who've been collecting things for, articles and files and pictures and video clips and stuff for years, and they're giving this guy archives, their own personal archives.
Yeah.
And he's been putting them together with his archive.
Yeah.
He built an addition on his house to make this archive, this huge UFO archive. And it's like over 6,000 pieces of something, right? I mean, he's got all sorts of different materials and stuff like that. I think he built it off his garage. And he's looking to, he needs to put it somewhere. I mean, he's thinking to the future, like what happens, so anyway, he's got this archive, and he's been trying to find a place to put it. And it's a huge archive, and it's a thorough and complete archive. Well, the school system in Rio Rancho, New Mexico, basically is going to hook him up with some space.
Really?
Yeah. So they're going to support his UFO archive, and they're going to give him, I think I read, two portable units, like those portable classrooms. And he said it's going to expand and give him, so much more square footage than what he currently has.
Yeah.
Because people keep sending him stuff.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I remember reading about that he has the glove that a guy used when he allegedly touched the UFO in Canada. It's one of the big things. And the glove's melted on the tip. And that's considered one of their most famous UFO events for the life of me. I can't remember off the top of my head, but that
I
was
do know he's got the most extensive documentation for the Socorro sighting.
Yeah.
And
he's got even more now.
Yeah.
And he's also, because he was missing, or he said, he didn't have what he needed to be able to kind of make it a more complete sort of record of what happened there.
Yeah.
But recently he's got photos where people have taken pictures of the site, right, before government showed up, because he also has them for the incident in Cuba where it happened in Farmington, and he has.
He's got new evidence for the Espanola event too, which I didn't look into because I just couldn't find enough about it.
Well, it's sort of lumped in with the whole Cuba Farmington Espanola event, so because it's all in that same sort of area there. But yeah, that's the stuff, man. So he's got everything. So his collection altogether is known as the National UFO Historical Records Center. That's his archive that he's got going on now.
Yeah.
So the National UFO Historical Records Center really needs to be its own building. It needs to be like a library, because there is a library in Roswell. Yeah. If you go to the Roswell Museum there, and you can go in there and check it out, it's nothing like this. Rio Rancho, if Rio Rancho, New Mexico was smart, they would find a place that was slated for expanse and development where they just sort of stopped growing Rio Rancho for a while. And, because that's what they had a big economical boom that just sort of stopped and put it there.
Yeah.
Actually put it there, support it, advertise it, put it out there, because you could go there instead of going to Roswell, or you could go there and then go to Roswell, because you can catch the highway, take you right up to Roswell from Rio Rancho, kind of.
There's some good buildings I can think of, too.
Yeah, so they could put it there, and then you could go to the National UFO Historical Record Center and do your own research. And you can do that now. You just have to make an appointment, because somebody kind of needs to be there. You can't just open the door and say, there you go, dude.
You could take, man.
Because he allows that. A guy's name is Marler, right?
Yeah.
So Marler was like, yeah, you can come check it out. You just kind of got to make an appointment. So they're going to start moving his collection into 2 portable classrooms in Rio Rancho School District later this year. It'll be open to the public, and like I said, you have to make an appointment. It says, who knows what the average person might discover? What discoveries are waiting for us in these cases we've yet to basically found and connect the dots? He can't know everything that's there. We're talking, it's a library of stuff, and there's no way he could research every single thing and try to sort of connect the dots.
Right now, I guess it does.
If things were digitized, maybe.
Yeah.
Right?
If it got digitized and curated,
Right.
Officially curated, every single piece of somebody's donation or somebody's estate has, complete documentation, and he can go, oh, yeah.
Or indexed, but it's not. It's like, here's my, banker box full of all the stuff I've collected.
Yeah.
Right. And it shows some of the pictures of what he has in his little back room thing going on. His addition that he built onto his house, and it's just like filing cabinet,
Gosh. Yeah.
Tons of them. So, dude's committed. If you're going to build an entire addition to your home in Rio Rancho, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So Marler says there are countless connections hiding in his archive, and he's partnering with Rio Rancho Public Schools to let other researchers and everyday people take a look. So he probably needs some help. He needs a couple of interns, right?
Yeah.
But, and they have some open space, and so they're basically allocating that so he can house his treasure trove of history. I'm just hoping that he says, hey, I appreciate, whatever you're doing for me there, but I just really hope that he's looking at it in a way and say, there needs to be a fire suppression system. There needs to be an alarm system. There needs to be, protective measures, right? Mm-hmm. Because if there's not, what if somebody decides to kick the door open and basically burn the whole thing to the ground? I'm not saying it would happen, but you never know. It could happen. Your schools get vandalized quite a bit.
Yeah.
So I hope there's
there
needs to be cameras. There needs to be all sorts of stuff just to make sure. We went by one of those camera cars that they park on the side of the road and catch speeders just on fire with a huge penis painted on the side of it. And that's terrible. But I was like, yeah, because the only thing that thing is there to do. Mm-hmm. It's just this car that takes pictures of you is revenue. That's it. Yeah. And all the revenue doesn't even go back to where it's like, come on.
Yeah. Gosh,
but yeah, it was on fire. That was awesome.
But the PP Bandit, that was the best part, because both those things happened in 2 separate incidents. First, somebody was going around and painting them with peepees, and then somebody set fire to at least 2 of them in a matter of a month.
Yeah. And I'm sure they've been shot up too.
Oh yeah.
So, New Mexico in some places is the Wild West, and they do respect, they don't want, it's freedom, bro. They're like, how dare you? They're okay with certain things, but just to make money for money off of people, like come on. So if you're going like 47 and a 35 because you're going downhill.
Yeah.
And you because there's lots of hills around there, and they're like, we went past things on fire. And, I was like, yeah, it's almost like the Tea Party, boy. Boston Tea Party. I was like, look at that. Just kept on going, though.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I think that's pretty cool. He's going to have a place to archive that. And if we ever get back out that way, we'll see if Dave will take us. Hey, Dave, take us to the UFO Records Archive, wherever it winds up being. The UFO Historical Records Center. UFO Records, Historical Records Center. So,
Yeah.
That's kind of cool, right?
Yeah. I mean,
I'd like a patch. It's got a cool little logo. Where it says UFO Historical Record Center.
You could technically do like a whole UFO tour of New Mexico just through I-25 because you could hit up like some of the weird stuff that happened up north, like at the Colorado border. Then you'd hit this, and then you'd hit the Atomic Museum.
Well, you got to go to Deming. Socorro.
Well, no, I'm going from top to bottom.
I'm just going where I know off the top of my head. You got to go to because you got Deming out by Four Corners and stuff, right? And then you got to go to Cuba, Farmington, Hispaniola area. You got there's something in Ruidoso. And then if you look at that big turtle, it's supposed to be out by the Blue Hole, Santa Rosa, I think. I can't remember. You got to go there. That's not UFO. That's cryptid stuff, though. Cryptid stuff in the Jemez Mountains. Then you definitely have like Socorro, right? And then you've got Roswell. You also have the testing grounds, where they dropped the atomic bomb.
White Sands.
White Sands, yeah.
But you're hitting all over. If you just take I-25.
Okay, you just want to take the Turquoise Trail on 25. I got it. I'm talking about...
No, Turquoise Trail is over here.
All right, look. Look, here's the deal. Who cares? There's a ton of places to go. And if you put them all on a map, you could probably get Google Maps to plot you a course now, since it seems to be it's updated to be the way it was 10 years ago. You could say, hey, organize this. It's funny that they took that feature out of some of these navigation programs where you could say, you throw in all your destinations and say, optimize. And it shows you, yeah. Like, that's so ridiculous. Take it out. But yeah, you could spend, a month going to all these places if you want to be a paranormal researcher type person.
Yeah.
And it seems like a lot of people that live in New Mexico aren't as interested in all that stuff as the people coming from somewhere else.
But we've noticed that with other things.
Well, that's how it is everywhere.
Yeah.
Nobody cares. Like, if you live there, you don't care.
Yeah.
You're like, whatever, man. But when you're, a visitor, you're like, let's go to the desert. And you grew up there, you're like, man, I live here, dude. Just, come on. And then you take somebody from the desert to the beach and to look at the ocean. They're like, oh my God, let's go out in the ocean. It's just, it is what it is, right? Grass is greener kind of thing. So good. I hope that happens and turns into something.
Yeah.
I do like the logo, but yeah. There we go. I had to cough real loud.
Okay.
So here's sort of a hypothetical situation here. And it basically is a title. It's like justified for wanting to kill Bigfoot.
Okay.
So would you or would you not be justified is how I'm looking at it, right? And this is an Alabama man who plans to hunt Bigfoot after the creature terrorizes family and kills pet. He's like, that's it. So Mark is from a small town in Alabama.
Yeah.
And he's had several encounters with the alleged beast who's been hanging around his family home and even has killed his pet bulldog. Right?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, if you think about it, you hear instances where people are like, yeah, Bigfoot kills dogs. If you talk to people, they'll tell you, oh, yeah, Bigfoot killed dogs.
I didn't know that.
So Bigfoot enthusiasts have criticized a man who has expressed his desire to hunt and kill the mythical creature because he's claiming it's been terrorizing him and his family. And the man, only known as Mark, has reported several chilling encounters of what he believes is a Sasquatch near his family home. And he alleges the elusive beast has been rummaging through his trash on his porch, peering in his house in broad daylight, and even killed their family pet bulldog. And so Mark, who lives in a small town in Alabama, disclosed that these incidents started in May 2015 when the supposed beast chased down one of his family members. And so in June, it's like it was seen looking into a family member's window in broad daylight, and by July, it allegedly killed his family pet. And so in another encounter that happened 3 days before the bulldog was apparently killed, Mark's story was shared to a Facebook group. And it was that Mark was sleeping on a cousin's sofa after celebrating at a family reunion. Trash bags were left on the porch to be collected the next day. And when Mark awoke, basically it was to a frenzy to barking dogs, and he tried to go back to sleep. So that's kind of when he started noticing, or this latest incident happened. But he heard, the sound that made his blood run cold, right? So one of the dogs let out a yelp as if it had been hurt, and he heard footsteps coming towards the front door, and Mark sat up and looked out the window, and what he saw next haunted him for years.
Yeah.
Here's what he said. Just 10 feet away was a 10-foot creature sitting on the porch. It was so large it couldn't stand up under the porch roof. And he watched as the beast was rummaging through the trash bags and didn't care about Mark's presence.
Oh.
And so the story detailed that the supposed beast's weight was combined of about 800 pounds, had rippling muscles, beneath the dark, shaggy fur, and the creature's arms were thought to be around 4 to 5 feet long, and its fingers were as thick as Snickers bars. So, its head was shaped like the back of Darth Vader's helmet. And the animal smelled like cheese gone bad.
Oh, God.
Which basically is human stink.
Yeah.
If you've ever smelled, and I've smelled that before in a different situation. It's like you put 1,500 Cuban refugees that were trying to escape Cuba on a boat, and they can't take a shower, and they're all combined together. It has a distinctive sort of stink. Yeah. So Mark, generally took his shotgun out when we went almost everywhere, and he happened to be without his shotgun on that particular night.
Okay.
So this guy carries his weapon. He just didn't have it. So he started thinking about if he had been armed, he might have managed to shoot the creature and consequently prove to the world with concrete evidence of Bigfoot's actual existence. So Mark expressed concerns about the creature growing too comfortable in close proximity to humans and human settlements. And it's causing fear amongst his family members, and he contemplated basically getting a band together of men to go hunt it down and kill the creature. And despite facing opposition from several people who admitted to be too frightened, he was going to take them anyway. But it said Bigfoot enthusiasts were swift to weigh in on the wild tale in the comments section of this Facebook post and basically say, why would you want to harm Bigfoot, who's probably been here before us and doesn't understand why anyone would want to kill one Bigfoot? These poor creatures were probably here before man and all that stuff. So another person added to their voice of the debate, please don't kill him. And then, somebody's like, bugger off, you stupid fool. And they'll get aggressive if taunted, and they're just merely curious. And so some of the commenters suggested, of course, that, he may have been under the influence. He was just stoned. Smoke another one, dude. So this is what happens. Somebody sees something, and then what happens, right?
I don't know.
They express their opinions, and then they immediately attack you personally.
I want to take the Bigfoot out of this article because...
Okay, replace it with bear.
Well, so that's the thing. So a lot of the actions described here, except for the Bigfoot's description, remind me of my little brother telling me a story about one of his friends who lives in California. He bought a plot of land that had actually been owned by some people that he knew. They owned it for a while, but a mountain lion started reclaiming its territory in that same area, and the same type of stuff. The mountain lion walked up to the front window, and it did kill the guy's dogs, and a shotgun was warranted, I mean, it happens around here with bears. They get too friendly. They don't care. They're not scared of people, dogs, pets, or your children. They won't run off, and what happens? They eventually got to get shot. Yeah, and, I mean, otherwise they're causing harm. They're, So if you take the word Bigfoot out of here, I feel justified in this guy's attitude. But with, I don't know.
See, here's where the problem would actually lie.
Yeah.
I think if you are being aggressively, if you have a Bigfoot and it's being aggressive, right, tearing stuff up, doing all that sort of thing, eventually you would be justified for fear or whatever to take a shot.
Yeah.
But you better be sure it's Bigfoot and not some dude in a ghillie suit or some crackhead living in the woods. Or something like that. So you better be really sure that that's Bigfoot. And if you're going to shoot it, you better be really sure you shoot it in a way that takes it down.
Yeah.
And then you better go ahead and put that stuff all up on the internet and everything before you call anybody, because I think the government would come get you. But if you're not sure, you probably don't want to do it. But I mean, if we were in a position, this is every horror movie, right?
Yeah.
Except the Bigfoot's digging through the trash.
Yeah.
So now you always have the option to leave, but a lot of times that option isn't an option if you can't afford it.
Yeah.
But if it was a bear, you'd be well within your rights to pop it. And the question would be, would this fall under the stand your ground, defending the castle kind of rule? If it is, you shoot a humanoid or what could be considered a humanoid, because then this creates all sorts of issues. Like, is it human enough?
Yeah.
that sort of thing. I don't know. But I think if it got aggressive and tried to come in the house, I think you should just blast it as many times as you can. I think that it would go with anybody that breaks into your house to do you harm. Just blast them.
Killed his family dog. I'm sorry. I would not be acting rationally,
Yeah, I'd have a problem with that too.
Yeah.
But, hey, if your dog goes on somebody else's property and eats a bunch of chickens and they shoot your dog, there's just, not a whole lot you can do. But this is different because, the dog, was the pet, and the pet was where it was supposed to be. And it's the pet's house. That's his domain. But yeah, so that's the question. If you had a situation like that, would you shoot Bigfoot? A lot of people would say yes or no. They're like, no, and then you have to ask that person, okay, well, you could really make this dirty politics. Mm-hmm. So you don't support the right to defend yourself?
Oh, stop. We're not going to go there.
That's going to happen.
My biggest thing is I would have to be 100% it's Bigfoot.
I would have to be 90% it's Bigfoot. And it would need to be coming in my house.
So.
And then when I shot that 800-pound monster, if I put him down, we'd have to drag him in the house and then call the cops.
Okay.
Because that way, they say that if you shoot somebody, make sure they're still in your house. If they run out of your house, you can't just go in the front yard and start blasting them. There's rules. But the thing is that if this thing really was 800 pounds and 10 feet tall, that requires a shotgun is not going to take it down. Unless it's like, on top of you and you're struggling, you're reaching over. I could just barely reach it, like you see on every TV show and movie, right? I could just barely got it. And then you get it and you shoot it like point blank.
Yeah.
But man.
I don't know. Everything he's describing, though,
huge.
to me sounds like a huge bear.
Yeah, but, again, he probably knows what a huge bear looks like.
Okay.
We're sitting here. Alabama's got bear, right?
That's a good question.
If we've seen a bear eating on the porch out here, we have seen enough bear to go, yes, that is a bear. And we got people from other places speculating, no, that's not you've probably seen a bear. Oh, no, you didn't see Mothman. You seen an owl.
Black bears in Alabama are primarily limited to Baldwin, Mobile, and Washington counties. Okay.
We don't know any black bear that's 800 pounds and 10 feet tall, man. They're not that big. They're big enough. Even if they stood up. You would know a big bear. And the dude had fingers as big as Snickers. That's an oddly descriptive thing to say. That his fingers were as big as Snickers bars.
Well, it's the family picnic trash.
No, but how? He's seen evidently he's seen the hand of Bigfoot rooting through the trash and said his fingers was as big as Snickers.
Okay.
He didn't just say he had big fingers. He was oddly specific. And described it in a way that if he had to describe to somebody that you could relate to what he's seen and how big that guy's fingers was. And if he said his fingers were as big as hot dogs, that's descriptive, but as big as Snickers, we all know what a Snickers bar looks like. Huh. It's like, was that a Snickers from the early 2000s or now? Because everything's gotten smaller now, right?
Yeah.
Because we're getting robbed with the whole consumer, we call it inflation thing.
Okay.
So would you shoot it or not?
I don't know.
It depends. If I knew for sure, if I really thought it was doing harm, I'd be unhappy. I can't say what I would do.
Speaking of which,
let's just say, surprise, he'd jump on my porch again, he'd get a surprise. How about that?
The largest black bear ever killed was actually killed in Beaufort, North Carolina. And it was between 780 and 800 pounds. And it is huge.
Yeah, how big? How tall? How long? Whatever.
I don't know. They have pictures of an entire family standing behind it.
Yeah. Okay, let's just say he's not like grizzly bear big, like 7, 8, 10 feet tall. Grizzly bears are huge compared to black bears. Black bears typically, that's big for a black bear for sure.
Yeah.
But I think if that black bear had fingers as big as Snickers bar, you would know. Snickers bars. So I don't know. I think the situation, you don't really know what you're dealing with, but you know what? It's entirely possible in the grand scheme of things that somebody has basically taken out a Bigfoot.
Yeah.
And then sitting there thinking about it, like, what am I going to do? this may cause me much more problems than I actually want. And sort of buried it in the yard somewhere. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, Now, the guy that shot his friend said that Bigfoot would get his friend when they were fishing instead of him. He's in jail for life. We talked about it in the podcast where why did you kill your friend, your best friend growing up? It's like, because it was either him or me, and I was going to feed him to Bigfoot, so Bigfoot wouldn't eat me. He's going to jail for life, and he still hasn't changed his story at all. He's like saying what he's saying. So, I don't know if that's going to do well for him in jail. Prison. All right, so let's talk about this right quick because we got a couple different things we're going to finish, and then we'll be wrapping the podcast. So, according to this scientific news article on yahoo.com,
in the lifestyle section, no less.
Yeah, and basically, as an article, it was submitted to Yahoo Life from WVNS Bluefield.
Okay.
Which I'm pretty sure is some kind of West Virginia news thing. West Virginia ranks number 1 for paranormal investigations.
All right.
Yes. So, according to a study done by held by Jeff Beck, paranormal investigations are the most common in West Virginia, and many keywords related to the paranormal, such as ghost orb, were studied to discover what states were most interested in paranormal investigations.
West Virginia took the top spot with an average of 403 searches per 100,000 people each month, which is 67% higher than the national average of 241 searches per 100,000 residents. According to the keywords that were analyzed for the study, common paranormal search terms that West Virginians searched for included spirit box, ghost hunting, and cold spots. While West Virginia came out on top for a high interest in ghost hunting, the state with the second highest interest in tracking the paranormal went to Alaska. Alaska searches were 35% higher than the U.S. average, with 326 monthly searches per 100,000 people. Third place goes to Colorado with 305, 27% higher. Oregon took fourth place with 295, and fifth place went to Nevada with 288.
So do you know if Goonies was filmed in Oregon?
I want to say yes.
I'm sure if you did a search for Goonies Rock, it would be like 100,000 times more popular than anything paranormal related. So there's a handy dandy chart where it
Astoria,
says...
Oregon.
Is it? Okay.
Yep. Canyon Beach.
Utah with average search of 280, Missouri 270, Washington 270, Maine 269, Kansas 267, and Arizona 261.
Okay.
So according to a Google Trends research, this is what they came up with. Because you could find this information on Google Trends if you really wanted to sort of extrapolate some data. So while West Virginia took the top spot for an interest in ghost hunting, Mississippi took the top spot for the exact opposite. Mississippi is the state with the least interest in ghost hunting, with a total of 161 monthly searches.
Huh.
And that's also per 100,000 people.
Yeah. Which
is 47% below the national average. Now, let's talk about cryptozoology.
Okay.
So here we go. Second place for the states with the fewest searches goes to New Jersey, and Louisiana came third with 194. Okay, so here we go. Average monthly searches per...
Wow.
I don't know if you got... I know they probably can't hear it on the podcast, but we just had a huge thunder rumble.
Yes.
It actually kind of scared me a little bit. So, the dog is looking for a place to hide. She's like, come help me. So let's do this. Number 1 rank for people looking for cryptozoology type stuff.
I think you're reading it wrong.
Am I reading it wrong?
Yeah.
All right, didn't help me. What am I doing?
So that was just a hyperlink to tell us what cryptozoology was.
I see. If I would have paid attention, I wouldn't even put this stupid article in here.
Now, the next chart you're seeing is only the least states.
Oh, who cares about the least? All right, so here we go. least people in states that are least interested with paranormal stuff. Mississippi, New Jersey, Louisiana, South Carolina, which is close to us, Idaho, Delaware, South Dakota, Florida.
That's surprising.
Yeah, it is surprising. Montana and Maryland. These people don't care at all about paranormal stuff.
I am honestly surprised by Maryland and New Jersey, because New Jersey has a decent amount of old haunted places, and it's got cryptids. The same with Maryland. Maryland's got some spook about it.
Yeah, but I mean, just the whole premise behind the thing is they use search terms like Ouija board, spirit box, and stuff like that, and said, oh, well, if you're interested in those terms, then you must be interested in the paranormal. So you could do the same thing using Google, like Google Trends. I know if you look, anyway, if you type ghost in Google Trends, you get video game stuff.
Yeah.
So there you go. If you type paranormal, like Squire Paranormal, which is a guitar, is the number one search thing. So this is all sort of subjective. So there you go. There you go, West Virginia. You can do something with that if you want.
Maybe we should, do one for like very specific paranormal encrypted stuff.
Yeah.
Like just see.
Well, when I use Google Trends to see if I'm missing anything, it's really hard because it'll always say the same thing. Not enough search results to give you an actual search results. Then you have to start looking at web and YouTube and everything else. And the thing is that you'll find results that are people looking up paranormal stuff that's 50, 60, 70, 100 years old. So it's like, oh, you mean folklore tales and things like that. So at some point, paranormal stories and spooky stuff just turns into folklore. And
so the reason I think Alaska's on there for this year is because of that Jodie Foster, Night Country. I think it may have pushed it up this year.
Well, I don't think Alaska has that many people when you compare it to the state.
That's true.
So, I mean, if you look at, I'm not exactly sure what the population of Alaska is, but just the fact that they have less people and more people looking. But Alaska's pretty crazy, man, with like Bigfoot. And I mean, there's so much of the Alaska undiscovered country, if you will, in Alaska.
Alaska doesn't.
You should ask Beans from Alaskwatch. He could probably tell us because he's out there doing this thing.
Alaska doesn't even have 1 million people in it.
Holy crap. How many people does Alabama have, or Arkansas, wherever this, West Virginia?
So Alaska, as of 2022, only has 733,583 people in it.
Wow, that's it?
Yeah, in Alaska. Now, if you go to Alabama...
I should have said West Virginia.
Oh, okay, West Virginia has 1.775 million people.
Well, I think if you look at the number of searches based off population, then wouldn't Alaska be number one? You got less people searching for stuff, and since you have less people, and your results is really close.
Gosh, Alabama has 5 million.
So if I would think that if you have less people, as a populace, as a pooling, right, as your pool. And you're only like 100 less than somebody that has almost twice your population or your polling.
So I think we're venturing into like statistics too, which I did not do well in.
So basically so we're looking at popular vote versus electoral college. Is that what this is? I think if you got less people in a place looking, but you have more results, I mean, come on.
Yeah, I think that would be median. Range. So I don't know. I think we're going into statistics.
Statistician.
Yeah.
But Alaska has 326. West Virginia has 403. But West Virginia has almost twice the people, or close to it. Come on, that doesn't count. So West Virginia should be underneath Alaska when it comes to this. Less people, but they're doing more looking.
Yeah.
So you know what this is?
What?
False.
Shut up.
This search is just false results.
You're scaring the dog.
No, I'm not scaring the dog. That thunder rumble scared the dog. So. All right, so let's talk about the last thing before we can move in, because we're probably going to lose power if it rolls in pretty hard. But
yeah,
this is a recent thing, and I titled it "Prove Flat Earth and Win Cash." It's a reality show.
Okay.
So it's a new reality show that'll basically pay cash if players can convince experts that the Earth is actually flat. So they're given a set amount of money so they could use this for resources to be able to make their case, right? It's $50,000.
Okay.
So here's the premise of the whole thing. There's going to be a reality series called Flat Earthers. They're going to pay cash if they can convince a panel of actual experts that the world is flat. How much cash? is not disclosed here.
So, Flat Earthers is described as part docuseries, part competition, and it will follow 5 families who genuinely believe the Earth is flat. But rather than just document their exploits, the family will each be given $50,000 worth of resources for research and will ultimately present their findings to a panel of scientists, theologians, and cartographers. If they can convince a majority of the panelists that the Earth is in fact flat, they'll be awarded a cash prize. The amount of the cash prize was not disclosed. It probably doesn't even have to be decided upon.
And there may not be a winner
Yeah.
of the series. Right. But the idea is to highlight the growing subset of Americans who believe the Earth is flat. And the series aims to shed light on how theories like this gain traction in the U.S. and around the world.
This article is kind of slighted towards people.
Well, of course it is. And it talks about Mandela effectors.
You may want to sit this one out.
Yeah. It's like, oh, it's IndieWire. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And as we continue to deliver audiences free premium content, we're excited to announce that this daring and genre-breaking docuseries from Aram Rappaport, right? The flat Earth phenomenon continues to grow on a global level. So what this is a show where the producers and stuff have gone to these people, and they're like, we need you to prove it. We're going to give you some money. We're all about it. We believe in you. It's fantastic. We're going to do it. And they're going to shit on them the whole time.
Yeah. I mean...
And, they signed an agreement that basically says, we can do anything we want with your likeness. We can portray you any way we feel we need to. So they're going to make them out to be...
Dum-dums.
Nut jobs, dum-dums, that kind of thing. And, they're going to pick absolutely the best clips to use when they're putting together this docuseries, right?
Like, okay, so we watch a lot of YouTube. We do watch, like, Shane Dawson and stuff like that. His brother is allegedly...
Well, not all the time. He gets it every once in a while.
Yeah. Well, his brother's allegedly, like, a flat earther.
He's a conspiracist guy.
Yeah. But he seems like a fairly okay person,
Well, yeah.
So...
Let's not get him talking about the firmament.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
It is what it is. So, yeah, there you go. So, anyway, I don't know exactly where you can watch this streaming contest.
The
docuseries.
network.
Yeah, it's the network, which I've never heard of, the network before.
Now we're going to have to look for it.
Yeah.
So.
So, we'll see. But there you go. I think we're going to go ahead and...
Yeah.
I'm trying to wrap this up before the storm gets us.
She is not happy.
Nope. She's very shaken.
Yeah. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Show notes have everything we talk about. And, yeah, that's it.
Well, it's a little shorter than I expected. Anyway, all right, there we go. So if you have any questions, comments, concerns, let us know. This has been the CreepGeeks Podcast, episode number 313, which is really 311. Right? So, yeah, I appreciate you taking time to listen. On YouTube, if you ever swing by and you find our little YouTube channel, if you subscribe, that'd be amazing. You don't have to listen. You can listen to the podcast any way you want, but subscribers help, I guess. So, anyway, see you later. Take it easy. Bye-bye.
Bye.
It's getting harder to be. Don't wanna let you down. Take a drive to clear my head, but no sense trying. This feeling's dead, honey, I ain't lying. Got a long way to go. You tell me to wait, my time will come, but I can't see straight. My mind is gone,